Greetings, welcome back to the railway room. As you can see, there has been a bit more development since the last time you was here, and I think the station has just about got to its final form now. Obviously I'm going to have to add the signals at this end, but that needs drilling and fixing because I've got electric semaphore signals. Quite looks the part, doesn't it, with that class 117 diesel in the platform there, and over the other side you see the AC cars rail bus ready to wend its way up the branch lines along Crendon. See, I put in a parcels shed there, not using it quite in the same way that most people would, because they'd have the train going in, or the line going in through the big doors. I've got the trucks going in through the big doors, the reason being that perhaps there was a line there at one time, but by the time of the era that this is modelled, that had finished. Trucks are going in and out, and all the goods comes in through the branch, and they're done out through this little hole there. I don't know if I can get close enough for you to see, but if you look inside, there's the crane, and that will lift the stuff off the goods wagons onto the little platform inside to load onto the lorries. There's a lorry there waiting to be unloaded. We've got a warehouse next to it. I mean, this end I think is okay, and this isn't too bad. I'm beginning to get a few more buildings out now, so you get an idea of how the road's going to hopefully come alongside the station. I've moved the bus garage. As we go round through the station, you'll see I put a few more things in there. The goods office. Okay, I've edited a little bit there because of my stupidity with the wide angle lens, but there you see that end of the station is now more or less complete. Platforms have got fences to them, and I've rearranged things slightly over here, as you can see. I mean, obviously I've got to put down roadways and things like that, but what I've done, you can see as I go over here, down by the station, you've got the police box and the telephone box and a little waiting shelter for the buses. Can't be bad, can it? And coming round this side, well, you see the little garage there and the fire station. Now, I was asked, could I please take away the big box so that folk could get an idea of what's actually beginning to go on. Now, this side, on this table here, as you can see, I finally got the two circuits done, so I know roughly where they're going, although I probably had a couple of points on this side, because this table here is where the fiddle yard's going to be. I should make up the trains that I need to use, and then they could go out and round the loop as necessary. It's only on the other table that I'll actually be putting the track down permanently, and that is where the hard work's coming in next, because I've got to take everything up, because the outer loop, as you can see from this box here, I have got brand new set of track that will go on the outer loop. I've then got to sort out all the best quality of track from here to make the inner loop, and then luckily I found that I'd also got track to make the first radius curves to take the branch away. So I've got all the track that I need. It's just a question of taking stuff off, marking out and putting it back down again, which may take a little time. So what I might do for a few weeks while I sort of think about how I'm going to do that, it may be limited to unboxings and maybe a bit of running of stock that I've got. Haven't made my mind up yet. What I was thinking for this end though is where the train leaves the station here, I'm going to have a tunnel that I can lift off if necessary, so that I can get access to the track. And on top of the tunnel I can have the church and the graveyard and everything else, and perhaps mould a road coming down to one side of it into here. Haven't fully made my mind up on that yet, but I think that seems a sensible idea. I don't think I'm going to be much good with making scenery, so I've got to put my thinking cap on and see what I can do. But I mean, all this will take some considerable period of time, and there may be a few weeks when I don't get any of these videos out, because now the summer's coming, there's a lot of other things that command my attention. However, there we are. As you can see, it's looking more like a station. There's the rail bus in the platform, the DMU. So, I've been shopping. I have a brand new arrival because I was offered it at a price. Now, some of these models I don't really jump at to start with, because I think that's not necessarily going to be a very popular model. Hold your nerve, and you might get it at a reduced price. And this one I have. I've actually paid over £100 less than I would have done to buy it brand new. It's not a DCC model, it doesn't have bells and whistles. I think it might have front and rear lights. So this will be an absolute brand new unboxing. I haven't undone it yet, it's only arrived the other day through the post. I've cleaned the track, I've fitted a power supply to it. This is analog track, 12 volts. Fingers crossed that it all works, and I'll see you in a bit. So, let's have a look and see what we got, shall we? This is one which I wasn't even aware of until a year or two ago. I've spoken with one or two prototypes like before, about things like the kerosene castles and that were Great Western prototypes, and of course the Southern had its own diesel prototype, which you probably will see later if I can find it in the storage unit. There's a lot of stuff in there at the moment, but anyway, that's that. This is a good thing of Helljan recently. They've got pictures on the top of the box. A lot of the earlier stuff, they were anonymous. There's they call it a user manual, and it's got all the usual guff in it. So let's have a look and see what's inside, shall we? As always, it's well packed. Can't fault the manufacturers nowadays for the standard of their packing. And if you want to put all the bells and whistles on it, you've got all of them in the bag there. Now let's have a look, shall we? Open the clamshell. And this is what we've got. Sorry, with my heart trouble, I don't know why, but my hands shake these days. Now this, as you will agree, is a most unusual design. When you look at the front of it, I can imagine some of you enthusiasts saying, do you know, that looks an awful like the Class 20, the chopper, and certainly it does. However, the Class 20 was not developed from this. If my memory serves me correctly, this was North British that built this, and they ordered it on the order of the LMS, the London Midland and Scottish Railway, who ordered it back in 1946 because they wanted a diesel-powered mixed traffic loco. But as so often the case after the war, I guess metals and that were scarce. It wasn't delivered until 1950, so it was actually took into ownership by British Railways, who then give it the number 10800, and they used it in their trials. It's very unusual, you see, because of all this at the back. And in 1961, Brush bought it because they wanted to do experiments. Because now this is getting technical, and I'm not sure as I understand all the ins and outs. but DC transmission to motors on diesel locos was proving not very successful. The Brush wanted to experiment with AC transmission, so they bought the loco, which had a Paxman engine, refitted it with a Maybach, and they called it Hawk. And experiments with this and the control systems were later developed into the prototype I showed you just before this, the Kestrel. That was the logical development of the experiments with this one. So, over a period of time, this was eventually taken out of use, and in the early 1970s, when the coal strikes was first starting, they stripped the engine and generator out to use as a standby at the Brush works. Eventually it was broken up in about 1976. So there you are, an interesting prototype. The Class 20s were developed in a totally different way. The class that came from this, because British Railways were quite impressed, so they ordered the Class 15s and 16s as medium range mixed traffic locos. So this was the forerunner of the classes 15 and 16, but I suppose you could say the Class 20 was, although manufactured by somebody else, a down the road derivative of it, if you like. Now here we have it on the track. I've looked at the box and it says it has got working directional lights. I know technically it's running wrong way because that's the down line and it's facing in the up direction. However, for the sake of filming, this is how I like to shoot, looking through the footbridge, and it makes it look much better there, much more realistic in terms of the station. Yes, the track looks a way away from the platform, doesn't it? The trouble is with models, with their clearances, unfortunately when you've got curvature, you have to allow a bit more than prototype scale distance. But it looks alright, and the advantage of DC is the track doesn't have to be as clean as it does for AC. So I've just run it round here and it seems to be working alright. As I say, there's no bells and whistles, it's not DCC, there won't be any noise, but we'll just get it going nice and smoothly. You'll see it light up at the front, and it certainly pulls away very nicely at low speed. Now I'm going to run it the other way, and we'll see if the tail lights work. Here we go. Oh, hang on. That's better. There's 50 tail lights there, I hope. The headlights are on in the other direction, so they work alright. Now is it going to do... Careful, slowly does it. Yes, one small tail light in there. Well, there we are. Just bring it to the end of the platform. There we are. And there you have it, my latest acquisition, which works perfectly well, and maybe we'll see it in action from time to time. But for now, that's another episode in the development of the model railway. In a way, I'm glad I'm doing these videos because it's actually forcing me to get up here and do some work. But as I say, the planning is now pretty much well underway. The uncomfortable bit is having to take it apart in order to clean the table thoroughly and then lay it all out again on a permanent basis. The trouble is I can't see in these rails anyway. There's no holes in there for track pins. That could be fun. So until next time, bye bye.